Welcome to Life Her Podcast, the podcast that guides you from the 9-to-5 grind to the freedom of your own path. Discover how to conquer life's challenges while pursuing your passions with unwavering faith. Because being an entrepreneur is not easy. So let's get to it.
Hey everyone, welcome to Life Her Podcast. We have an amazing guest with us tonight, Welby Broaddus, CEO of Broaddus Business Solutions and author of Leading Blind Without Vision. As a visual impaired entrepreneur, Welby is on a mission to educate businesses on the benefits of hiring blind and visually impaired individuals. His work is reshaping diversity and inclusion in the workspace. Let's dive into this amazing, inspiring journey, advocacy, and insight on the leadership of his business. Hey, Welby, how are you?
Hey, Bet, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
It sounds weird calling you Welby when I'm used to calling you Chucky.
People still call me Chucky, but I get it.
Like, Welby, who was that?
I know.
That is just hilarious. Oh Lord. So can you share a little bit about your personal journey and what has led you to start Broaddus Business Solutions?
So, wow. So I went to University of Akron. I first got to university. My major was computer science, and I thought it was just like high school. You just go there, memorize the work, and you just pass the classes. So I ended up flunking out my first semester, and when I tried to bring my mom and dad home to get the mail, but I guess it didn't work. So I had to sit out for a year or so. So my dad was like, "Look, I'm going to work in the morning. Your mom going to work, so you need to get up and go find you a job. You put about 5 applications a day." So I ended up getting a job working at Sears at Rolling Acres, and I was working on a dock, and it was hot in the summertime and freezing in the wintertime. There was no in between. There was no air conditioning. There was no heater. And I was like, man, I can't be doing this type of work. I got to get back in school. So I ended up saving some money, went back to school like two or 3 years after that. And I said, what can I do that I like to do? I think I chose computer science because that was everybody was choosing that type of major. I said, I'm just give me a business degree. And so I ended up going to school, getting a business. I got associate applied business management technology. Then I got a bachelor of science in technical education. And so what that major is called tech prep, and business is my tech specialty area. So basically, I decided I wanted to start a business, basically teach people how to start businesses, how to do management, marketing plans, and things like that. And what I do is with my consulting services, I don't do it for them. Actually, I tell my clients that I'm teaching you how to run me out of business, do something else, because I teach them how to do it themselves. So now the next time when they want to do something, they just do it themselves. They ain't got to hire me to do it. And so in 2009, I actually made my business official. And I just always want to give back to people who always have business ideas but don't know how to get there and really couldn't afford the high cost to hire a business consultant to help them do the work. So I decided that's what I wanted to do. And it led me to where I am right now with my business.
That is super dope. That is amazing because, sometimes people get confused when it comes to like what they're going to major in.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up becoming like this career student, not knowing.
Right.
Like, that's what I was at a point in time.
I think we all were.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's really dope that you actually knew what you wanted to do going into it instead of wasting some years.
Well, I wish that first year I flunked out at like, because I thought it was like high school. I remember one point I was taking earth science, and science is probably my worst subject. And I'm sitting in the class, I done flunked 2 tests, and not knowing I could withdraw, I'm taking F's.
Man.
Yeah.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. And these is 4 credit classes, so this is like the big money courses. And I'm like, and they drop your GPA real low. I'm like, and then somebody said, man, you could have, why you withdraw? I didn't know nothing about that. So I learned afterwards, though.
Man, I bet. So
Right.
how was how was your experience as a visually impaired business leader shaped your approach into entrepreneurship?
So that's a good question. Um, I think it shaped me at entrepreneurship because I'm always have been the underdog, being vision impaired. Um, when I started school, like elementary school was pretty cool because the kids are really pick on. They're more curious. Like, well, why you got to put your face close to the paper? But middle school is the worst because now everybody's trying to self-identify. They want to be part of the in crowd. Puberty's going on. So now you get picked on and stuff like that. You know, people talk junk about me, being couldn't see. Or I say how many fingers you got up and stuff like that. So those type of things help me be mature at a very young age to realize who's truly your friend, who's not. And I know that there's a lot of people who want to start business who less fortunate, may not have the money and can't afford to get the help, but have great ideas. So I said I want to target that type of person.
Mm-hmm.
And then people always determine like, well, they ain't gonna be able to pay. I said, yeah, but it's still rewarding. I'll try a lower rate they can afford to pay it, you know, or we can do work on how ways and means to get paid. But I just want to give back. I mean, like my speaker series, I was only charging $10 for that, but that's a way they can come and learn for $10 and then ease up and do something else. So it's just about my experience, what I went through being basically picked on or not being seen as be able to succeed in life. That I want to give back to show people that if I can do it, you can do it. That's always been my motto.
Have you connected with a lot of individuals that was visually impaired as well, and you found yourself helping them shape their careers or even boost their self-esteem?
So right now I'm working with this agency out of Detroit. It's a mentoring program where we mentor kids that are either totally blind or some type of vision impairment. And everybody that works for this agency, but I consult with them, but he got employees too. We're all blind or vision impaired. And it's very rewarding because we're helping kids, the college students that are in school, to be able to be successful once they graduate. So we teach them how to do their resumes. We even help them get internships, teach them how to write cover letters. They all have an elevator pitch they can use to talk to employers when trying to get a job. We do a workshop once a month, and we always have a guest speaker, and the guest speakers we bring in are either blind or vision impaired as well, and these are successful people that's in the business world. So it's very rewarding to give back because I wish I had something like that when I was in college. I think I probably might not have flunked out.
So can you share, well, what really inspired you to actually write Leading Blind Without Vision?
So I'm going back to college now. So when I was in college, I took English 111, and that's the first English class you take, and you had to write these papers. And I know one of the papers you had to write was an entertainment paper. So I wrote about me and a couple of my buddies. We rode up to Virginia Beach on Labor Day weekend for the Black Greek picnic, beach party, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was crazy that weekend. That's the weekend. It was a big riot. Like police is picking on people. So basically, we shut down Virginia Beach. And this is way before the internet. So it's like all on the news channel, stuff like that.
Right.
And this before cell phones. And my mom was looking like, oh my God, we couldn't reach each other on the phone. So I ended up writing a paper about it for an entertainment paper. And so I remember I was in class, and one day my professor, we had turned our papers in like a week before, but he wasn't done great though. So the next class, he said, hey, Welby, can you stay after for a minute? And I'm like, okay, why he want me to stay after class for? Like, I hope you don't think I plagiarized my paper because like that's something I went to the beach, I hung out. So he says, he asked me what my major was, and like I said, that time was computer science. He said, you ever thought about being a writer? And I basically like shoved him up, like, man, no, ain't no way I thought about being a writer. Nope, never crossed my mind. she was thinking about it. I said, no, I don't want to do it. Now, fast forward years down the road, it's always been my mind that to write this book about me being vision impaired. And I always had my title, Leading Blind Without Vision. I always had that title. Now, I had a subtitle, but I always had Leading Blind Without Vision. It's always stuck in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so my girlfriend, Angela, knew these people that took this course at Georgetown University. It's called the Creators Institute. And what it is, you go through this course and they teach you how to write a book from the beginning to the end. And I signed up. Now, I signed up with the mentality like, oh, they're not going to pick me.
Right.
And so you actually have an interview with the professor, Professor Coaster. And I was talking to him on the phone. I said, y'all write this book about me being vision impaired. I grew up this way. I've been bullied. All this stuff is going on. He's like, oh, that's a great idea. So he gave me an assignment right there on the phone here. And basically told me, I want you to go online and find about 25 other people that are blind and vision impaired that's successful that you put in writing your book. I'm like, this dude actually picked me to write this book. I said, okay. And so I end up getting in the course, and they chose my book to actually be published with their publishing company. So I was like, wow.
Man. That's a great stepping stone. I know that felt motivating though.
Oh, it's great. I got the bug. I mean, I love everything about writing, the good, the bad, the ugly, but I'm definitely gonna write another book. I went to Copenhagen in Denmark to write. I did an article about how the blind and vision impaired navigate through the city, because you ever see pictures of Copenhagen before? You ever been there?
Yeah. I've seen pictures.
Yeah, bikes are everywhere. I mean, and they don't like just park them in a structured way. They just they stop, park anywhere. And I was always curious about how does an individual that's blind or vision impaired navigate through a city like that. And so I went and wrote an article about it. And so I got it now. I'm trying to get it published, but yeah, I wrote an article about that. And I plan on writing another book as well. So
nice. So what are some of the biggest misconceptions about hiring blind and visually impaired individuals?
Many employers believe that they don't have jobs that this population can do, which is not true. Anybody that's blind and vision impaired can do any job pretty much that requires them to use a computer. And a lot of employers think that it's too expensive to onboard this population in the workplace because of the technology they need. But reality is cheaper because it's not that expensive. Because by law, every operating system that any employer is using has to have accessibility technology built into it already. But the problem is employers don't know that and they don't access it. And in the reality, it should be available to anybody who wants to use it. It shouldn't be just somebody who's blind and vision impaired. If you want to use this, they should make it available for you as well. And one of the biggest misconceptions that people have is that they think that we're accident prone because we can't see, which actually is the opposite. The non-disabled employees are more accident prone than the individual with disabilities, because we go through so much training to learn how to navigate through situations and things like that. We're more cautious than a non-disabled employee.
Okay. So can you share like a personal or industry related story that highlights the struggles and successes of the BVI community in the workforce?
I'm gonna tell you a story about one of the ladies I interviewed for my book. So and her name is Dr. Mona McCare, and she's a bioengineering professor at Northeast University in Boston.
Wow.
And so when Mona had just got her doctorate, and so she said, well, after I got my doctorate, I started applying for all these different universities all over the country. I sent my resume in. And Mona's a very outspoken person, if you meet Mona. And she's very intentional, like I am. So Mona said, when I apply for these jobs, I told everybody I apply for that I'm totally blind. I told them I walk with a cane. I don't hide anything, because she has a philosophy that she never want to work for a company that doesn't want her. So she always want to be upfront with her, about her disability. So she applied for this job at this university in the Midwest United States, and she wouldn't tell me what it was, but I would hope she would, but she didn't tell me.
Right.
So they flew her in, and the interview to be a professor is a grueling process, like a week-long process. She got to give little talks, got to meet with all different people, meet with the student body, and all this type of stuff you go through. So she gets there, and she meets the lady who would be the head of the department. They hit it off pretty well. She meets the people in the department, stuff like that. So they asked her to go meet once you meet the head of the hiring committee, the chair of the hiring committee. So she walks in this man's office. The first thing out his mouth was, "What? You're blind." And so she said herself, like, he's not supposed to say this to me, but she said, I just threw it off. She said, yeah, I'm blind. He said, I don't know how you're gonna do this job. So she goes on to say how she can do the job being blind, so like that, even though he can't ask these questions either. Then finally he says, I don't know why we would hire you. And she said, I had enough. She said, why you fly me out here? You knew about I'm being totally blind. I told you all this. I walk with a cane, all that type of stuff. And he said, I don't know if I think we make mistakes. She said, well, all right, but I'm done. So she said she walked out of his office. She went back to the head of the department and basically told her what happened. And she told her, I want you guys to fly me home immediately. I don't want to work here. Fly her home. She said about a couple weeks later, that the head of the department calls her back, was like, hey, I want to apologize for what happened. We fired him. He's no longer with the university. We would like you to come back out and continue the interview process. So Mona said she thought about it. She said, yeah, all right, I'll come back out. She gets back out there. Wow. She meets with the lady who's going to be her boss of the department. And the first thing the lady says to her is, well, you know, because of what you did, we had to fire him, and now I got more work to do. And so Mona was like, I finished out the interview process, but I knew it wasn't coming out to get the job. And those are the type of things like we go through as a blind and vision impaired community, and that's one reason I want to write my book about that.
Yeah. That's, a lot of people, they really don't be considerate of other people. And it's like they've been using that type of language for so long. Mm-hmm. No one has never corrected them. Right. And a lot of times they will suffer in the end in their own personal life, and they're going to get humbled.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. When he got humbled, he got fired. Think about it. He probably had tenure and everything, but,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Man. So, like, over the years of you, like, being blind and impaired, has that affected you, like, internally, like, on a personal level for yourself, like, from, like, childhood on up? Like, even when it comes to you going to apply for a job, or even dating individuals, or just being out and just meeting people, like,
Yeah. So when I'm gonna tell you a story. So I'm gonna tell you a couple of stories about this one. So I remember, I think about 9, I might be 8 or 9, and we were in front of my grandma's house. Me, my brother, my cousins, and a couple of people in the neighborhood. Cars ride by, you'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna give me one of them cars." And somebody had an old school Cadillac, like with 8-inch white walls on and something like that. I said, I'm gonna have me a Cadillac when I drive. And my grandma, my grandma Nanny, my dad's mom, she's sweet, but she's very outspoken. She never mince words. And they call me Chucky. So and she's sitting on the porch. Chucky, I don't know if you're gonna be able to drive, honey. And I'm like, what? I said, Grandma, I'm driving. I don't know. And I'm like, okay. So fast forward to I got in high school. So I took the driving course in school and everything like that. And my grandfather Sylvester, my mom's dad, he took me to get my driver's license. I'm like, I gotta get my temps. And I couldn't pass an eye test. I was still guessing. Like when they said that, you see the apple on the table? I said, yeah, it's on the right hand side. I'm guessing.
Oh God.
And so
just saying anything, yeah.
And then the lady behind the thing said, you can't see. I was heated. I said something smart back, and I walked off. My grandfather told the lady, but that type of thing happened. So now, mind you, I can't get my license. So now I'm like in high school. I meet girls asking me to go out. And like, we got your license? I said, nope. Oh, when you gonna get your license? I tell them I can't get my license. And they're like, you can't drive? Nope. And you want me to go out with you? You can't drive, so I have to drive all the time. I said, well, yeah, you have to drive all the time. I mean, any other way you want to get there. So people would date me because of that. And I had a girl actually broke up with me. We was going together because she met somebody who had a car and they drove. So yeah, that has happened. It was and it hurt. It hurt at the time.
I bet.
But like I said though, I had to turn all this stuff into a positive for me. So what it taught me is that you find out what a person is up front. So and I just know that I'm glad that those type of people that went for me. I'm glad I found out when I found out versus putting my time and effort into the relationship with those people that down the road. And it's about them more so about us. So,
Man, that gotta be a lot though. Like seriously.
As a teenager, boy, yeah, it was a lot at the time. But when
You
I look
know,
back,
it's so crazy when I was younger or whatever. I didn't realize you were like that until I actually became an adult.
a lot of people say that.
Seriously, because I don't know, like we family. So I was like, I wasn't paying no attention to anything like that. I was just like, hey, Chucky, just happy to be around you and stuff.
Right.
But it's like as I got older, when my mom used to come get you and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, why Chucky not driving? Then she told me, I said, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So my grandfather Sylvester and my grandma Nanny. So my mom's dad, and my dad's mom, and my mom, they taught me to be independent. Like my mom would try. I would try to get my mom. Can't you do this for me? I said nope. And the question will always ask, what you gonna do when we're not around? When we're not here, how you gonna handle this stuff? And I think that's the best thing for me. Even though I hated it back when I was.
I bet you did.
But I'm glad they did because people always say that. Like one of my best friends, my guy went to college with, he didn't realize I was vision impaired till like we got out of college. He's like, man, I didn't realize that. I always just wonder why you ain't drive. I ain't never asked. But, so yeah, I get it all the time.
Yes, it's crazy. It is. So what are some of the most common barriers that blind and visually impaired individuals face when as far as like seeking employment when they need a job?
So some of the barriers they face is that the unemployment rate for the blind and vision impaired community on average is 70%. And that's even when the economy is good, when the economy is bad. And the reason is the biggest barriers that we face is that we're a disability of the unknown because there's like so many different type of eye conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not cookie cutter. I'm the example. So you take two people confined to a wheelchair. They can be confined for two different disabilities, but the common barrier is the wheelchair. So the employer has to just make accommodations to get them into the building. So they may have a ramp to get them into the building, have an elevator wide enough to accommodate them in the wheelchair. And when they get to their floor, got to make sure the pathway is wide enough so the wheelchair can get to their workstation, and make sure the workstation is wide enough so they can move around and while they're doing their job. Whereas us being blind vision impaired, for me, I may need like large print. Somebody else might need to have JAWS, which basically a screen reader for them to read the screen. Somebody else might need Braille. So that's the problem that we have.
Okay. Dang. And what's so crazy is, like now with the economy being like shaky when it comes to people wanting to work, do you find it a lot more easier and more convenient to a point where they're hiring people that have some sort of disability, as they will state?
So it's funny. I'm glad. Good question. So I'm gonna give you an example. During COVID, when everybody had a help wanted sign outside, and nobody was trying to get these jobs. Everybody started doing their own thing and stuff like that. Our unemployment, the unemployment rate for the blind and vision impaired community was still 70%.
Wow.
Yep, they still didn't want to give it a chance. When every company was hiring, I talk about this when I give my presentation. I said, every company in the world had a help wanted sign outside door, but nobody still gave us a chance.
Wow. I don't understand that. Like I really don't understand that, because 9 times out of 10 you probably could do the job better than the person that's hiring you. You
So
know?
what people got to realize is that we're not your problem solvers.
Yeah.
We have to navigate in a world that's not set up for us on a daily basis. So we naturally have to problem solve all the time. And that's what that's the quality that every employer wants to have in their employees, to be problem solvers, so they can resolve a problem on their own without being supervised to do it. You got somebody who can do that. We bring a whole different perspective because we have to do things differently than what employers thought about. And on top of that, if you hire us, you're going to get more people to support you because you're hiring this population in the workplace.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it shows the compassion, like the consideration for you to give a person the opportunity just as much as you have opportunity for a person you will label as a regular person, you know?
Right.
And I mean, all it is your vision. Clearly, you're applying for the job. So obviously, you know how to do the job.
Exactly. First of all, like and I thought it was just me, but when I talked to other people with the blind and vision impaired, they felt the same way. Any job I have, I make myself to be the best, if not the best, one of the best employees that they have. Because we know that if we lose a job, I'm not going to be able to go out and get a job tomorrow just like a non-disabled person will be able to be. It's going to be a minute before I get the job. So I make sure I know the procedure. I know exactly how the job's supposed to be done, to the point I can tell my boss, well, this is not supposed to be like this. And pretty much a lot of people with blind vision, especially with disabilities in general, do the same thing, because we know that tomorrow, if I lose this job, I may not have a job for a while. So I got to be the best. So we loyal to a fault, basic bottom line.
Right. Man, so what are some steps that business owners and HR professionals can take to create more inclusive hiring process?
So, and I talk about this all the time, partner with your state's vocational rehabilitation agency. And if, like in Ohio, we have ours called OOD, Opportunities for Housing with Disabilities. But within that organization, we have the Bureau of Service of the Vision Impaired. So that agency within OOD specifically work with the blind and vision impaired community. So if you partner with these organizations, these states vocational rehabilitation agencies, you're going to get qualified individuals with disabilities that can do the jobs you want. And then the state's going to help you onboard them into the workplace. And that may include buying the accessibility technology they may need to do the job. Or you also can use them as a resource to say, hey, can you come and help coach this person up to do the job? Or can you teach us how to work with this population ourselves? So it's like, and that's free. They're not going to charge you for that, because the state wants these people employed. That looks good for the state.
So basically, you guys have like benefits from hiring. Well, businesses have benefits from hiring individuals with BVI community and meeting the diversity and inclusion quotes.
So, well, I don't know how it is now with the president we got, but
right,
employers get a tax break for hiring people with disabilities, and a lot of them may not know that, and that's why you should partner with the state's vocational rehabilitation agency to find out, because you get a tax break for hiring this population. And also, like I said, they're not going to just give you somebody to walk away. They're going to check on them and things like that, and they'll provide the tools they need to do the job, or accessibility technology might need to do the job. And if you need somebody to come on to basically help train them to do the job, they have some people to do that as well. Like they have job coaches and all that type of stuff.
Okay, so what are some of the practical strategies that companies can implement to support you guys and the employees in the workplace?
So one thing, just make sure whatever the application process, make sure it's accessible for individuals that are blind or vision impaired. So if it's on the internet, make sure you have a screen reader, or you have it set up that their screen reader can read the screen. Don't make the application process something they guys got to come in the building and fill one out. And if they do have to come in the building, have somebody there to be able to read the application to them or help fill it out for them. During the interview process, so a lot of individuals from the blind and visually impaired community don't have much work experience. Don't hold that against them. Give what they call a behavioral interview, and what that is have them give them a scenario and tell them how did they solve this scenario. And it may not be in a work related situation, but they have done that scenario what you ask them to do. And make sure you know that during the interview process, you cannot ask them about their disability. The only time you can talk about it once they get hired. And then if let's say somebody that's totally blind that walks in with a cane or a guide dog, don't make the whole conversation about that. Talk about what they can do versus what they think you can't do, because you'll be surprised.
Wow. You know, it's so crazy because just say for like now, everyone is a business owner. Everyone own a business. And I don't even think they have the thought process further enough to hire individuals that have certain types of disabilities, or they don't have the accessibility for you to be able to come into their business, or even the accessibilities inside of their business alone. So it's really a eye opener for a lot of people that are in business, for them to really consider um being more accessible in their business, for them to be able to provide the proper services for anyone that do come in with some sort of issue that they have, that they can't help, you know.
Right.
And people really don't be considerate of it at all. They stare you down, but other than that, they just stare. That's it.
And the thing about that, just take out the part about not being able to get them into the building. But y'all just, I don't know, if let's say it's a retail store or something like that, we have a lot of spending power. I mean, this population has money, so you alienate from a lot of potential customers you may have. As well.
Yeah, I think the most I really see is probably ramps or parking, handicap parking.
Right.
That's probably like the most I ever see out that is accessible. And you know what's so crazy, when you go to the restroom, they used to have the embroider on there where
Right.
you can feel. You barely see that anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's they still have to have those type of things. I mean, I don't know what the guidelines on them, but I know they still have to have that stuff be accessible to individuals as a public space. And I know something they say is grandfather clause in because of my older buildings, but I think yes, if I let's say I had a business, let's say retail store, something like that, I might be having much accessibility technology as I can, because that population spends just as much as a non-disabled person population spends. So it's like you miss out two things. You miss out an untapped market that's natural problem solver, which is range skilled employees look for dedicated employees, and you miss out on the customer base too. That's just that same population.
Yeah, you do. And you know, so crazy, like now that we really, because you know, I'm just, you know how I was raised. I'll be paying attention to stuff like that. But at my in-home daycare, I have a baby I had her since she was born,
Uh-huh.
but she had a cast on her leg since birth,
Mm.
and she has had surgery on it probably 5 times now. It used to like bend, but
Mhm.
now her leg is straight, but she'll forever wear that cast. So I have her, and I have 3 kids that are autistic, but they all in different levels. One is
Mhm.
nonverbal, one you wouldn't even think he has autism,
Right.
and then another one he has it very severe.
Right.
And I had kids of cerebral palsy
Mhm.
enrolled, but I always made changes within my home daycare that make it accessible for the kids, because you have to get to know what they like and don't like
Right.
when
Right.
it comes to different things. I've also had I had a blind kid before too. He was really fun.
Mhm.
He was so bad. But it was amazing though. And I just can't see how people just can't be compassionate. It just, I don't know. It just is mind blowing. And it's kind of crazy that we having this conversation, because I've never had this conversation with you before.
Oh yeah, that's cool. It's all right. And so the kid that you probably act out, he probably just doing that to deflect. I mean, I just do the same thing.
Really?
You know, I was in school to get not to get bullied, so I would deflect. Yeah, that's
Okay.
we do that all
Dang. He was bad as heck.
the time. So that would
Wow.
take the attention away from his vision, like, oh, he's tough, like, oh, he's hard. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Wow.
Not saying it's
Wow.
right, but
He crawled. He used to crawl through the daycare. So I really just didn't change to the furniture a lot, because he
right,
already had got to know that space
right.
of where he was going or everything. So I just really kept it the same. But he crawled and he was blind.
Mm-hmm.
That is so funny. So what impact do you hope leading the blind without vision will have on business world?
I just hope they just open their eyes to a untapped market that they never thought about hiring, and give them opportunity, and realize that these are natural problem solvers that could bring a benefit to the organization,
Yeah.
and just give them a chance. Just you you want to be the best, so why not? You may not be hiring the best, because that best person for you might be that person that's blind and vision impaired that you never give a shot.
Mhm.
And the bottom line is, for business, is you're trying to make money, so why not give them a chance? You don't know until you give it a shot. That's why I said just give it a chance, because guarantee you're gonna find somebody that's qualified to do the job that's gonna be blind and vision impaired.
That's true. So
Mm-hmm.
what advice would you give to visually impaired individuals who are looking to start their own business or advance in their careers?
I would tell them, don't be afraid to do it. I mean, don't be a crutch to yourself. I mean, I know that sometimes it may be hard, but the struggle is real. But the struggle is great though, because it's very rewarding once you get started. And if you just have confidence in yourself, because you know what you're capable of doing, just do it. We all gonna fail. And first thing you might do might not work out, but keep on trying. I mean, you hear
Mhm.
so many successful business owners now that started out with something else that didn't work, they did something else. I mean, even like you, like all the business you have. You know, I know everything you started at first didn't work out, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So yeah, so yeah, just give it a shot, and don't. And there's gonna be some loved ones gonna tell you that, oh, maybe you shouldn't do that, and they only say it out of love, but know yourself. That's, I think, and do what
that's
you feel
true.
you need to do. And it's not, don't hold them against because what they said, but that's how they feel. You know, everybody want to be coddling to you, but don't let that happen. Don't coddle yourself.
That's true. So music seems like it's a big part of your life.
Oh yeah.
What is your favorite live music experience, and how does the music influence your day to day?
Oh, I'm gonna tell you, it's a good question. My favorite group of all time is Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I knew that.
So I saw them a couple times, but the best time I saw them was with your mom. It was, and I just told this story to one of the matches last week. It was at Nautica Stage in Cleveland on the water. It was a summer day. It was an all white party. So we all had to wear all white. and we get to we kicking it. You know, your mom dancing, we all kicking it. And
Yeah.
so Verdine, the guy that played the bass on Earth and Fire, he came off the stage. He came all the way up in the cheap seats where he was. He was the last row playing the bass. And we was right at the aisle where we could reach out and grab him. But he ain't
Oh.
grab it. But we was like, we kicked it, and that was the best concert I went to. Earth and Fire. With your mom, yeah.
Having a ball.
A ball. Having a ball. With my favorite cousin. I had a ball. We kicked it that night. I never forget that.
So you also enjoy cycling and exercising. What motivates you to stay active, and how do you adapt to workouts that fit your lifestyle?
So in our family, we have high blood pressure and diabetes. And so I never wanted to have high blood pressure. So like I don't eat pork because of that. I don't eat that much salt. And I know that I got cholesterol, and my doctor says it's genetic. So if I go to the gym and work out, it keeps it down. And I like riding a bike because I just like riding through nature, just like to feel the breeze hit me, ride the bike trail, like the towpath, and see nature and the animals running by. It's almost like me riding a horse. I don't have a horse, so my bike is my horse.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. You do have that feeling. And it's so crazy because I went to go look for those new electric bikes.
Right.
Oh my God, I done fell in love with it. So I've been like making it my business for me to get one before this month over with.
Oh, you electric? I want to do the pedaling, but I get it.
Yeah,
I think
it pedals and everything. Like it has like different speeds to a point. It's either gonna be a hard struggle ride or an easy ride. They have different speeds when it comes to it, but I just enjoyed it so much. I was like, I have to have one of these
yeah.
because I love riding my bike.
Oh yeah, that's good. I do too.
Man, so how can people purchase your book?
They can go to my website, Broaddus, Broaddus, BizBizSOL.com. They can purchase right there. Or Amazon has it. Any online platform has my book.
Okay. So looking ahead, what's next for you and any upcoming projects and tentatives or any goals that you are excited about?
Oh, so this Saturday, if anybody who wants to start a former LLC in the state of Ohio, I'm doing a workshop from 10 to 1, and I teach you how to the format LLC in the state of Ohio is online. So you also go to my website under events and sign up for that as well. And I teach you how to start an LLC in Ohio. We're gonna go through I'm gonna talk about it. We actually do step by step. So when you leave there, you actually have your application completed. And
Okay.
then down the road, I'm working on creating a business course to teach individuals how to start a business. It's gonna be like a 15-week course, and it's gonna be interactive. It's gonna be a virtual course as well.
Okay, that's nice. So if there's one message you would like the listeners to take away from this conversation, what would it be?
Always be true, be honest with yourself, and believe in yourself. Because if you're honest with yourself, the naysayers won't affect you because you know what you're capable of doing. And you got to truly be honest, and don't cheat yourself. You got something you want, a dream that you always thought about doing, do it. It may
Yeah.
not always work out, but you did it to know that it didn't work out. You know, now you know what you do to need to tweak it so it can work. Or you might figure out, maybe this is not what I want to do. Maybe I'm going to do something else. But when you sit back and don't do it, then you cheat yourself. And I'm not a strong believer in not cheating myself.
Yes, that is so true because we don't never really realize how much we be cheating ourselves and not applying the pressure that needs to be pressured upon ourselves. And
Right.
next thing you know, somebody would be like 65, 70 years old, and you done let your whole life done pass you by when you really
Mhm.
haven't lived, you know?
Those shoulda, woulda, coulda people.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
know what's so crazy, Chucky? I really learned a lot, even my mom, from her passing so young.
Mhm.
And she was only retired for 1 year. It
Mhm.
like changed my whole perspective on life. And
Yep.
it made me just want to live differently myself, even when it comes to my health,
Mhm.
wealth,
Yep.
and making sure anything that comes to mind of what I want to do, I end up doing it.
That's like so. Like your mom's example for me and my uncle Stanley. I don't remember him. He's died at 37. And like you said, like it's people. Oh, I'm gonna work my job till I'm 80 or 70 years old. Nah, if I got something else going to do, I'll quit and do
Yeah.
something else. And because my goal is enjoy life. My goal is I like traveling. I like working out. I like going to sporting events, concerts, things like that. There's a whole lot more besides me working for somebody else and then give them all my life and then not get done. There's nothing more for me to do but sit back and be home. Because I'm
Yeah.
never gonna be that person that's gonna retire, be hanging out at the McDonald's and stuff like that, drinking coffee and just talking.
Mhm. Yep. Talk about the shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Or what I used to do.
Mm-hmm.
We gonna talk about what we doing.
What we doing, what we about to do. Right.
Yep.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me, cuz I really appreciate you having me. Give me this opportunity to spread the word. I appreciate it.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Life Hurt Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and also listen to Life Hurt Podcast on all social media platforms and all major platforms that you can listen to on audio.
Welcome to Life Her Podcast, the podcast that guides you from the 9 to 5 grind to the freedom of your own path. Discover how to conquer life's challenges while pursuing your passions with unwavering faith. Because being an entrepreneur is not easy. So let's get to it.